Okay, today we're going to be working in Canva once again, and we're going to take this business card and show you how you can change it substantially to this. Notably, we're going to be having a look at our Sean Garcia chap here and how he's cut out of this circle. First up, you could say I've cheated because I've already done it, but I needed to know that the effects that I had in my mind would work. And so the first thing we need to do is add a new blank page. So we're going to keep the yellow background as we've got on here. And the first step is to take our chap here and bring him over. I'm going to change the bounding box just above his hand here. As so. Trying to bring him up so the outsides of his jacket just touch either side. There'll be a degree of trial and error for this first bit. So I'm going to go to Elements, and from here I'm going to go to Frame and search for Rounded in Frames. So I did that a bit quick. What I needed to do was actually go to Frames first, see all, and then search within Frames. Should have done that right first time. Search for Rounded, and we can see some options here. So this one looks like it's set up and ready to run, but what I'm after is something a little bit taller. That's the one I'm after there. I didn't actually find that last time. I found a landscape alternative where I had to put the image in, then rotate it round, and that was just a real pain. This one's going to work better. So I'm going to get rid of the chunkier one here and drop our chap into that. That's step one. Step two now, I can double click on it and just scale him up, just so he's filling that frame a little bit better. We want him essentially centered with a little bit clearance above, but not much. But in this case, I'd rather the top of his hand not be in the clip, so it looks like it's just a headshot. If in doubt, I can go back and have a quick look at this one here, so we can see a fair bit of the shirt in front to get that rounded effect. And as I jump back, he's already snapped it to it. Reverted back, which I don't want. Just one more time. Now double click or click off it to save that. Next step is to edit the image and then go to our wonderful background remover tool in Canva. And that gets rid of the background. So you've probably guessed what the next steps are now. And that is, we're going to look for a circle frame, just standard plain circle frame. And we're going to drop our texture into that. So I can't remember what I searched for. So I'm going to go on recently used. You can see I tried a few different frames. So we're going to go with that one. And now I'm going to drag it into the frame. Once I've done that, I can just move it around so we get a little bit more of the detail that we're after higher up in the shot. But you can play around with that quite a bit as well. Because we dropped him into the frame first, you can't put a frame inside a frame because that wouldn't really make sense. So that's why it's not trying to drop him into the frame here. What we do need to do though is just bring him to the front. But sometimes you've got to have him overlapping first to be able to bring him forward. Canva's quite good like that. It'll only reference other areas that are overlapping, which makes sense because it's only when it comes into play that it gives you the option then to move forward and back. Okay, so we can align that by eye. If I nudge it up, I can just bring it down so it overlaps to make sure that there's no steps in the design by eye. And now we've got him coming out of that background circle. The next step, and if we look at it compared to this one, okay, maybe the background circle's a little bit bigger on that one, but it's close enough. You can always go back in and edit the individual frames individually to get them as you want them if you want any changes. But that's the main effect we're after, is with the headshot, cuts out of the background circle. It offers a really nice, fresh effect that's not too blocky or rigid. Once we've done that once, doing it with other images then becomes much easier. We can actually drop new images into the same frame by duplicating the graphic and doing it that way. Our next step is to go to shapes and just add in a simple circle. Although you could add another frame again and add a separate texture behind. That would also work. So I've probably done that the hard way. What you can do is hold down Alt, I believe, and go from the center out, which would have been easier, and just add a little bit of extra onto it. And now put that to the center back. So we've got equal spacing around the outside of our image as well. The color will come from the photo, I believe. So it was either the lighter one or the slightly darker one. I think we'll go with that one. Okay, so if you look at the other details now, I'm going to copy and paste the content across. But first of all, we need to get this blob in place. And first of all, that background area. So if I double click and have a look at this one, we can see it's this frame with the same texture that we've already used inside it. If I was to zoom out, then scale it down, we get a better idea of that shape. So by just enlarging it off the edge of the design, we get that full page feel with the shape of it really nicely there. So again, I could go through and hunt for that frame, but we can find it in the recently used here. You can really have a play around with different shapes and effects and get something that really works for you. Okay, that might be a little bit too big, so we don't really have any shape in that at all. So I might just go reduce it a little bit so we can see that nice clear shape here. But with this one, we had them deliberately overlapping. But we could also see that design was off the edge of the page, so it was just a case of enlarging it. So if I wasn't given a demo, I would simply copy and paste that across from the other design. Right click, center back, which means it will still be in front of the background color itself. We can zoom in a little bit now, and we're ready to drop our texture into that shape. Simple as that. What we're going to do now is lock that layer. So we know they got that in position, meaning that when we put our content on and move that around, we're not interfering with that. And likewise, we're going to find this blob here and get that ready, roughly in the right position. And it was actually this one. I believe I just rotated it around. We'll put it roughly in the right position, lock it down, at least temporarily. And now we're going to copy and paste all of the content to go in there. This is where I'll just get rid of that background frame and that blob. I could lock them again, and we're just going to Control C to copy that content in and then paste it in on our new design. So we can see here we've got a little bit of adjustment. We've got this blob to move into position, so we can unlock that and move it into position here. Rotate it slightly. There we go. Okay, you may not like this design. Fair enough. It's not really my cup of tea, but it's also something I wanted to demonstrate how you can go from one of the existing Canva templates, and I may not have mentioned that at the start. This is one of the templates that's available in the templates area in Canva itself. And we can make them look very different with just a little bit of imagination and a few little tricks and techniques we picked up along the way. Just one final thing. We can see with these, they're actually square backgrounds. So by adding that blob, obviously square doesn't really go with the circular and outer shape feel to the rest of it. By putting this blob behind it, that works, because I don't believe we can put in transparent backgrounds behind each of the icons, so we have to do that manually using these shapes. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Please leave some comments. Let us know how you get on and if you found a way of things like removing the background colors, or if there's an easier way of achieving what I've been through today. See you next time.